Hey guys, and welcome back to Critical Cinema. Today, on episode 3, we'll be looking into the movie The Passion of the Christ, reviewing the trailer, and giving our thoughts on the movie as well. So let's get into it. Today, I am also joined with our co-host, Justin Smith. Justin, thank you so much for joining us once again.
What is up, David Brinkley? How are you doing? This
I'm
is a
doing
great
well.
show to be on.
It
This
is.
is a this
It,
is going to be interesting because this is the first movie we watched so far that I have not watched yet.
yeah, that's right. Because every single movie he's seen so far, guys, I have not seen. Justin has. This movie, I one-up him. I've seen this movie a couple of times. He hasn't even seen it once. So we get a totally different perspective on how this works here. So we'll get some different standards here. So we're going to do that. It's going to be awesome. Let's get into watching the trailer right now. So basically, if you guys want to check out the trailer, it's from YouTube Movies. And we're going to review this trailer. So let's do it. All right, so that was the trailer. We just saw it, and obviously this is an older movie, so we're going to be judging it based off of like where it was in its time period, with graphics, with effects, with storytelling, stuff like that, with the cinematic world at that time. So, Justin, what were your thoughts initially, just from seeing the trailer?
I really like the costume design. Costume design is really good overall. Like it was actually kind of impressive.
Yeah,
Like I
I
really
would say
like
so
the
too.
style of it.
So, as usual, guys, we do have our ratings, where we rate the trailer, and then we'll see how that ties up later on with the film. So, we're going to start off with the film's cinematography and see how that did. So, the trailer cinematography. So, Justin, what are your thoughts on the cinematography?
Cinematography looked decent. Like there were some like really impressive shots, and some that were like not bad, but not really impressive either.
Yeah,
So overall, it was like pretty decent.
it's no masterpiece, but like it did have some shots where it's like that's a really cool look into it for sure. So out of
Yeah,
five
like
stars, what we
okay,
thinking here? Um, I'm thinking like
probably
four,
like
three, three, four, somewhere like that.
yeah, like a 3.
All right, sounds good. So we got 3 stars cinematography. Next up on the list is character development. So Justin, where are we thinking? Just from the trailer itself, how do we think the character development worked for this? Does it show a lot of the character, or
Um, well, it showed some woman and Jesus and her crying and following him as he's being like tortured. So I don't know if that would really count as like good character development, but I mean,
And obviously, guys, in trailers, character development. If you pull character development off in a trailer, bravo to you. That's like insane. It's just so hard to do it in concise moments. Most movies don't want to show that because it kind of reveals what the movie is about. So I'd say it's pretty standard for what there is in a film. Maybe like a 3 again.
Yeah, I'll give it like 2.5.
Yeah, okay, 2.5.
Pretty average, I guess.
Next up, we have VFX and SFX, so the visual effects and the sound effects. Honestly, I didn't really see any visual effects that I can notice straight off.
Yeah, they had like practical effects with like the blood and
Yeah,
like the dirt, but they didn't have any like CGI or like any composited in shots or anything. It's just like almost entirely just filmed as is,
yes.
basically.
It gives it more of a realism. So for the VFX, I guess you're getting 5 out of 5 because you don't have anything wrong with it. Because there is really none.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sound effects wise, we had like the music going on, little score there, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But sound effects of like the footsteps, the movement. What do you think? How do you think that rated in the trailer?
Well, it was mostly just the music. Like there were very few sound effects in it.
Do you think there should have been more?
Um, yeah, maybe like a few here and there because it felt like moments where there should be sound effects or just music playing. So, yeah, maybe like a 3.5 stars.
Yeah, 3.5 sounds good. Okay, next up we have set, lighting, and costumes. And we've already mentioned the costumes before, but I'm gonna agree with you. The costumes, I'm gonna have to give a 5 because they're just on point for it. And the sets look realistic. The lighting is real, so
Yeah, the costumes are really nice looking, like in the style of the time period of the movie and like the way they're integrated into like the sets and stuff. It just looked really nice.
it all fits
I think
together.
like I'd honestly probably give that like a 5 star. Like I don't see anything wrong with it, and it appears to be like really good too.
Yeah, it seems historically accurate, so bravo for that. 5 stars there. And finally, film score. So obviously we don't have the full film score of the movie, but the trailer had an overarching music. Do we think they used it well, or do you think there were flaws to how they used it? Personally, I
Well,
think there was like it was just too overpowering.
yeah, the like you can have a trailer that's like no sound effects, only music, and make it work. But this was not one of those trailers. Like they they had very few sound effects in it, but there were certain parts where it really needed sound effects. They just decided to keep the music going over like everything else in terms of audio. Like music was nice and all, and it was like really dramatic, but that really it just really like kind of kind of ruined some parts of it, like a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say like one way they could have really upped this with the music integration into it is like the movements. If they matched the movements to the music, like for example, it starts the trailer off with his foot stomping the ground and dust flying. Like they could have done a boom sound, and then like they show this spot with the hammer hitting the ground. So like beats going with like different things hitting. Could have really helped make it feel more immersive with the music, as if it's not just pasted on top of it, but actually a part of the scene itself. Like there's those movies that you're like, are they actually having the music there? Because it feels so perfect in that scene, but this one just seemed like someone slapped it on top of the footage.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of awkward, honestly.
Yeah, so on the rating for score used in the trailer, what are you feeling here?
Maybe like 2 stars.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So that is the rating for the trailer. We're going to see how that holds up with the movie. So let's get on to the movie itself.
كيف تقول مثمار ميشا ربنا مكرية لك
هكر لخبرها يا دوني.
Okay,
Of
guys. So we start off with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's praying, goes to the disciples, tells them, "Hey, wake up, get back to praying." Then we cut to the scene in the temple. And it's with the Pharisees, and basically it's the 30 shekels of coins, and Jesus goes, or the Pharisees say, "Hey, Judas, here's your money," and so they toss it to him. And let's just say he has some terrible catching skills. Roll that clip, please. Any thoughts on that, Justin?
That guy is not going to the NFL anytime soon.
Very, very true. Very true. Oh my goodness.
He ain't being drafted.
No, not even for like the Dolphins or like the Bengals or anybody like that. Not happening.
The Bengals? That's a team?
Yeah, it's a team.
What kind of mascot is that? What is a Bengal?
Bengals like a tiger.
That's an actual thing?
Yeah, that's an actual
I
thing.
thought you just made up a word.
No, I didn't. He's gonna look it up, guys. He's looking it up right now.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. The Bengal.
Can
The
we show a
Bengal
Bengal
show.
on screen right now?
Found the Bengal show podcast.
It's a show? Okay. Go subscribe to them. I'm joking. No, don't. Subscribe here. But yeah, so we were just, Justin was just mentioning, like, guys, look at that scene. Look at those Pharisees. Oh, the temple people. Those costumes, bro. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started. Justin, tell him what you think about that.
Costumes look like really amazing. Like they actually look like they're like handmade and everything. Like they fit in so well with all the old people they casted with like the gray beards and stuff. And
Yeah.
like the lighting and like the sets and everything all mixed together and like the props that they're holding, like the cane things, they all look like really amazing.
Like there's movies, guys, where the people like say go in a cave or something, and the lighting is just way too lit up for it to actually be realistic. But this lighting in this scene, I'm just gonna point this out. It looks like it's only lit, like the lighting is made to look like it's candlelight stuff that they could only do with the technology they had. You get the flickering lights. It's not as fully lit around the room because there's no electrical lighting. It's all candles and lamps and bonfires and stuff. So like, I think they did a perfect job on that, honestly.
Yeah, and especially the costumes, they did a fantastic job on.
Yeah, hands down. Like, I think we already know where we're going with the rating on the costumes, guys. Probably going to be a 5-star. Just saying. That's good. It's amazing.
زيني أدناي وين أبتلخك من مني
Alright, guys, so this is a very small detail. We're gonna pull it up for you guys in a second with the clip. Basically, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's talking to God, and he's saying, look, I do not want to be crucified. If there's any other way to do this, please let it work out that way. But if it isn't, and this is what you want me to do, I will obey you. And basically, the imagery that the director chooses to do is Satan, who's tempting him, is actually there physically as a person. You can literally see like a grub or something come out of his nose and then go back in. And I'm still kind of confused as to how they did that. Do you think they did like VFX, or do you think it's an actual grub? Or what do you think, Justin?
It was probably done with CGI.
Hopefully.
Also, it was a very interesting choice of the director to make Satan into an albino hobo.
Very true. Very interesting choice there. Yeah, he does look kind of strange. And I do hope for the actor's sake they didn't actually give him a real grub. You're like, hey, so like for this shot, we're gonna need you to like put it on your nose and like suck it back up. Can you do that for us? And he's just like after the shot, it won't come back out. It is calling my nose. Help! He's so bad.
That would be awful.
But yeah, we just wanted to point that shot out because we thought it's interesting. It's something. You guys should see it. So yeah, good imagery though.
It's like a detail so small that you might not actually notice it.
Yeah.
I think most people would, but there would probably be a big chunk of people who weren't paying like enough attention to see it because it wasn't it wasn't like zooming in on it. It was like
very small detail.
Just sort of there.
And if you guys actually, I'm gonna just put this out right now. If you guys enjoy details like that, the details that like you're like, wow, I never saw that before, and you're like, man, I wonder if there's more movies out there, like movies I've watched that have things I've never seen before. If you want us to do a series where we look at movies in depth and find things no one has ever seen before, like the things barely anyone sees, let us know in the comments below, and we might just work on that if we get enough people saying we want that. it's another scene 5 seconds after the previous one we just talked about. Basically, Satan's standing there, and from his robe launches a snake. It's doing its little snake things. But yeah, snake, very strange. Also, if I personally was on set, and that happened, I couldn't do that because I hate snakes, so I'd be gone. I'd be offset, screaming I quit, running for my life, because I don't care if it's trained. Yeah, it's a snake. Kill it, please.
No. So you're like a snake discriminator then.
Yes, I am.
كيف ثيبله كودي هلا خروضا big خروضا يبود.
Basically, so Jesus puts his hand on his ear and heals him. Heals the ear, makes it new again.
Hey,
And
why didn't they show it? Why would they not want to show that? They just went,
probably
bruh, we just cut it.
because they don't have the idea, like, they want to give mystery to it, because the Bible doesn't exactly say how the ear was healed. It doesn't say, like, it regrew. It doesn't say anything. It just says he placed his hand on his ear and pulled it off, and now it's there. So I guess they just wanted to keep with that idea.
Yeah, I still feel like they should have put a little more emphasis on it for being like that's a pretty major thing.
Yeah, true.
Like they were more focused on all the stuff going on with the other people.
But I guess they're kind of making it like Jesus did so many miracles in his life, and they're trying to make it kind of like commonplace of he did so many. This isn't like special. The scene set is so like it feels like a huge city. Like I don't think it's really that big, but like it's insane how realistic that looks. Also, we're beginning to see the starts of the makeup, visual effects makeup for how Jesus gets beaten up so much. Yeah, that's right, folks. Jesus of Nazareth, Son of God, also the originator of IKEA. As you can see from this clip of him building the perfect table. We're gonna give it a special name. I call it the Yeshua table. It's not, whatever, Dutch, Norwegian, or whatever you call it, but it's a name.
Hi.
It's a thing.
With all the actors saying this language.
Yeah, and the fact that the Romans are actually speaking Latin, the Jews are actually speaking, I think their language is Jewish. No, that's just their people. Hebrew. Wow. I
Yeah,
forgot. They speak Jewish, guys. They speak Hebrew. But like they're actually speaking that language in the original, and like there's Galilean, Greek, whatever Galileans speak.
Oh,
I don't know. They're literally mobbing him. The poor guy. Where did these children even come from? Who does this as free time? Hey, you see the guy over there? He looks pretty guilty. He looks like he's going through a lot. He's
oh,
stressed. Oh my goodness, Jesus is in the background. In the
he is?
crowd. I think I just saw him. Maybe. So obviously, guys, viewer discretion is advised. This film is rated R, for crying out loud. But for good reason. And as you'll see in a moment, it deals with suicide, as it talks about, basically, Judas. Now, it ate him alive, like he kind of ate the carcass of that bull there that he looks at with the rope, that he later hangs himself with. So, basically, guys, so we reached a part where Jesus is going to get whipped. Mainly where the rated R part comes to this. It's already bloody, but this is where it really gets gory. But the thing is, they didn't go full extent, because they used, in Roman times, this whip. It's not like a standard whip you're thinking that was used in the past. It's not like a whip used on cattle, stuff like that. This actually, I think it was like a cat whip or something. I don't remember the exact name. Basically, what it did was it had shards of glass and rocks and all these different things. So when it would hit you, it would stick into your skin, and when you would pull it off, it would rip your flesh off with it. And let's just say that if they had actually done this historically correct, Jesus in the movie, you would have actually been able to see his lungs, his heart, his internal organs. He would have been bleeding out. Basically, like in the Bible, it says he was unrecognizable to even his own mother. And that's not an exaggeration. It's seriously, every single crucifixion, you're unrecognizable because of how much they hurt you. The thing is, they don't let you bleed out and die. Some people actually did bleed out and die on their way to the cross. They didn't even make it. So it's just incredibly intense. And they could have gone that far, but they didn't for some reason. But yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a
insane
very weird decision that they didn't go all the way.
because it is
Like
rated
they
R.
went, yeah, they already made it rated R. They already went to this extent. Why not just go all the way?
It is a very strange choice on their part. It may have been to like, so it's not. I don't know. I don't really know. It's a good question to ask. If you guys know the
Because like,
director, please let us know. We'll interview him if you get us in contact. But that's a long shot.
yeah, like they already crossed the line in multiple different areas and ways. So it just doesn't make sense why they just didn't want to go all the way.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question to ask, and if you guys have ideas of why, comment it below. Tell us what you think.
That's a cool detail.
That is a very cool detail. Like the blood around it. Honestly, it's showing. It's giving aging to it. Like there's aging on the buildings around here. Um, and it also like with the acting of like all the people, like the guards that are doing this, their like jovial nature around the whipping and all that shows how long they've been doing this and like how like inhuman they've become. Because this is fun to them. This is hilarious. This is them watching football or playing a video game, which is sick. Seeing moving through that crowd. He doesn't walk. There is no movement to his body of him walking. He literally is floating through the crowd, which gives him that inhuman nature. That's a bravo, well done. Just a super small detail, but I mean, it's insane. I just want to say how perverted those guards are. Oh my goodness, they're just laughing as they shred a man's body. That's disgusting.
Well, that's what war will do to you.
Yeah, it's something I wanted to bring up because it's not really well known that this happened, and a couple of the stats aren't. So, like, a couple things for crucifixion. It's labeled the worst way to die possible because of just like people think it's like, well, you bleed out. Well, that's partially true. When you're up on the cross, basically, what would happen is every time you're breathing, if you look at the cross diagram, and if you know the story of Jesus, they nail his feet, right? And he's on this little thing. So basically, what you have to do is you have to push your body up so you can inhale a breath, and then you have to let yourself back down to exhale it out. And every time you do that, you're expelling energy, and you get to the point where you can't do that anymore, and you suffocate because you have no more energy. So you're losing blood and you're suffocating. Also, it's thought that they put it through your hands, but actually, they put it basically, if you feel your arm, there's a bone right here, and they put it in between the bone, the two bones right here. And the thing is, they chose that specifically because there's a nerve right there, and it goes straight through the nerve when they do that. So it causes, it's already excruciating pain, but that makes it even worse. Another specific thing that's to this movie, the guy that played Jesus in this film had an extraordinary amount of things happen to him. He was actually struck by lightning when he was on the cross. And so when he was up there, they're filming that final scene. He actually got hit by lightning, and I believe it actually happened twice to him. One of which was on the Sermon on the Mount. One of the flashback scenes. Another thing that happened was during one of the whipping scenes, it was obviously faked. He didn't get hit for real. but they had this thing that they were actually hitting to make it look like they were hitting him. But the thing was, it slipped through and actually hit him so hard he couldn't breathe anymore. In addition, when he was carrying the cross, he also dislocated his shoulder. And he also started getting all sorts of crazy migraines throughout the production of the film. So the guy went through an insane amount of stuff while this production was going on. And he personally, as an actor, is a Christian. And basically, he was saying that God had told him that he would give him a little taste of what he went through as he played this role of Jesus. And with what happened to him, he certainly got some of it, which is insane. But I thought that I'd include what happened to the guy. It's just unheard of, the things that happened during filming for him. But yeah. Any initial thoughts before we rate it? Anything you want to talk about?
That was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Like, it went on for so long.
It's a very long, painful, gruesome process of dying.
Yeah, especially the way they did it.
Yeah. And just the thought of how much pain someone would be to do that is beyond human comprehension unless you've had it done to yourself. Well, then let's rate the film. So obviously, let's start off with the top, the cinematography. What were your thoughts on cinematography with this film?
Well, I thought the cinematography pretty good, but sometimes the editing would get in the way of it unnecessarily, like slowing things down at certain points for no reason,
Yeah.
and like cutting back to something we just saw over again for no reason. But most of the time, the cinematography was pretty good.
It's not a masterpiece, but it's still pretty solid. So, what do you think rating there? I was thinking 3 or 4.
I'd give it a 4.
All right, 4 it is for that. Next up we have character development. What are your thoughts on character development here?
Well, they kind of like developed the characters, like they showed all sorts of flashbacks. Like instead of showing it at like the beginning of the film,
Mm-hmm.
they showed them like in the second half of the film, especially towards the end, which I thought was like a little bit weird, considering we just watched him go through so much
Yeah, very
stuff.
unique thing.
Like it might have been more effective to just put it at the beginning, like be more traditional in that sense.
Yeah, because it did seem to draw away from some of the scenes. I'd say the only one that honestly pulled it off perfectly, like it seemed to fit, was the shot of when he hits the ground with the cross, he can't carry it, and as the mom's running towards him, it keeps cutting back between her as younger, running towards him when he was a child, when he scraped his knee, and him at that current time, and just like the same motions and all that. It, I think that flowed smoothly, but otherwise, yeah, it seemed out of place.
Yeah, yeah,
So
they could have done a better job explaining certain things
yeah,
too. Like like you explained a lot of things to me, but like if you didn't explain those things to me, I wouldn't know what's going on a lot of the time. Movie does like to be honest, pretty terrible job explaining a lot of things.
doesn't do much of a
Like
backstory.
yeah, it just like goes right into it. Right at the beginning, he's already like crying. 'Cause he knows what's about to happen to him, and all sorts of stuff is going down. And it's like what's happening?
So Mel, you heard it here. We want a trilogy. We want first the backstory. You already have the second part, the passion, and then we need the third part over here, part 3. We need the resurrection part. So we got pre-story, the one you have now, the passion that we just watched, and the resurrection. We need a trilogy. Can you do it? Please do. I've heard the resurrections in the works, so that'd be dope.
Oh, so that's what the sequel's about.
Yeah, that end sequences. So
It took them long enough to start making it.
hopefully it'll come out soon. He did an amazing job with this one, so high hopes. So character development, what do you think, rating wise?
I'll give it 3 stars.
Okay, 3. Visual effects and sound effects. Honestly, the visual effects of this film are not the explosions. There's nothing like that. There's not really any CGI that much. It's really the makeup. That's where this shines. Oh my goodness, the blood makeup. Every little bit of that is just so realistic.
Yeah, they even had like the yellow pus sort of stuff like leaking out of him. Like that was very realistic. Like the practical effects overall were really impressive. Like even in the earthquake sequence, you can tell that was practical. Like, and it was like really well done too.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would have given it a 5 if they had gone completely though with like historically accurate what happened, with all the like the special whips and all that would have like ripped off chunks of skin. The idea of them going almost there, but then they kind of stopped right when they were reached there. It doesn't make much sense since it was R. And I would have given it a 5, but like it's still like it's insane what they did. It's so realistic.
Yeah, I feel like the reason why they didn't go all the way is just maybe they couldn't figure out how to,
Yeah.
because they'd have to figure out how to put like holes of like take holes of someone out.
They'd have
So
probably like since this was like 2004 something like that. The maybe the director felt that the technology at the time wasn't ready to pull something off because like if they did an effect on that, because they'd have to use CGI to pull that off. If they did an effect and it didn't hold up compared to the other like visual effects of the blood and all that, it would totally pull you out of it. So in a way that does make sense.
yeah, that'd be really weird to see a CGI Jesus.
Yeah. So what do you think you rate that? I'd say 5, 4 or 5.
I give it 4.5.
Sounds good. Okay. Next up, set, lighting, and costumes.
Probably like a straight up 5.
Yeah, like I don't even think it needs discussion really. It's just so on point.
Yeah, it's like very impressive what they managed to achieve.
Beautifully done. And it fits the time period, everything.
The only thing that like wasn't really like it was just kind of weird is that the opening scene at night, like the moonlight was so bright it managed to light
Mm-hmm.
them even though they're outside. If you're outside at night, it's
It's
gonna
not
be
that
pitch
bright.
black. Yeah, like even at the brightest of the moon, it probably wouldn't be that bright. It would be like most of the time it would be pitch black too.
Yeah, so a little
Like it
bit
would
too
make
much
more,
lighting there.
yeah, it would make more sense if like after he was like talking with God, then like shine down on like the moonlight. That's not what happened though. It was just like the whole scene.
Which was very strange. So yeah, very good point. Like it would have been really dynamic looking if like it was like that talking with God, the moonlight just shining straight on him, and but it's pitch black everywhere else, and then all of a sudden you just see these torches come out of nowhere. Like it would have illuminated that scene. Like I think it would have really created dynamics right there.
Yeah,
But otherwise, yeah, it was good.
yeah, like definitely 5 stars.
Yeah,
Like
I'd agree with that.
even with
Finally,
that,
uh, film score. What do we think on the film score?
uh, like I'd either give it like a 4 stars or 4.5 stars.
It was emotion. It literally tied straight into emotions, gravity of the scene, chaos, whatever it was. It held on emotion wise. So yeah,
Yeah, it was really brutal.
yeah, very well done. I'm saying I'd agree with that. But that's our scoring of the film. Um, honestly, I'll give a little blurb, and Justin can give us a little blurb on his thoughts as well. Honestly, this is in my top, like, 50 movies for sure, maybe top 20, I think, just because of how amazing the story is and how well they portrayed it, because sometimes you have these stories and they don't justify it, they don't do it well on screen, and this was just amazingly done. Mel Gibson is known for this stuff. He's so good at that, and I couldn't have picked a better person to have made this film. Like, bravo, stands out. I love this film for sure.
Yeah, like the only reason it's not in my top 50 is just because I've seen so many like masterpieces.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Justin is an
Yeah.
encyclopedia of film knowledge.
Oh, you could say that.
But with that, that ends our analysis of this episode. And we hope you guys will tune in for episode 4 with a new movie. It'll be amazing. It'll be fun. And we hope you guys will catch up. Keep an eye out for other series coming up to the channel. And if you want to see us do a detail series where we basically look at a film and look at all the things that most people would never see, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Critical Cinema. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Justin, for co-hosting with me once again.
No problem.
We will see you next episode.